Hey guys, and welcome to my first movie collection update for the month of November and part of December. And this is the new video series on my YouTube channel where I'm going to talk about some of the new movies that I've actually acquired to my collection. And for this video, I'm actually going to talk about the movies that I collected during the last about month and a half. So I have quite a few right here to show you. So let's get started. And the first movie that I picked up is The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. And I have to say that this is a really good reboot to the original Sam Raimi series. So I enjoyed it. It has a lot of good, interesting points, and it's a more modernistic take on the Spider-Man series. So again, really good. Definitely pick it up, watch. The next movie that I picked up is called The Apparition, and it's a paranormal slash ghost story about this couple that move into a home, and at first they believe that the house is actually haunted when in fact it's actually the couple themselves that are actually haunted, and it's about them trying to figure out what to do to try to escape the ghosts that are trying to terrorize them in their home. So it's actually pretty good. It's not scary, but I would say that it is suspenseful. So this is actually, it was a lot of fun. Pretty good. You should definitely check it out. The next movie that I got here is The Bourne Legacy. And I have to say that this is actually a really good film that doesn't have Jason Bourne, right? And you don't necessarily have to have seen the previous three Jason Bourne movies in order to figure out or understand what's happening in this one. This movie pretty much kind of stands on its own, although it is helpful to have seen the previous films to kind of understand how some of the programs and some of the other organizations work in terms of, figuring out what to do with Jeremy Renner's character, Aaron Cross, here. So, but overall, it's actually a fairly decent movie with lots of action, and the science behind it is actually pretty interesting in terms of what they're doing with Jeremy Renner's character, and him being kind of like a super soldier of sorts. So this was actually a really nice one that I enjoyed a lot. The next one I picked up is Pixar's Brave, and I'm a big fan of Pixar's movies, so of course I was going to add this one to my collection. And this one, of course, is actually a pretty really good film, and it also marks a first for Pixar because it's the first time that Pixar actually made a film that has a female lead protagonist. So, and happens to be a full-flowing red-haired female character. So of course I was going to enjoy that. So, but overall, this was actually a really nice movie. It keeps true to Pixar's formula of their previous films of being very entertaining and having some sort of message and goal that they want their audiences to be aware of. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Next, I picked up The Cabin in the Woods, and I heard a lot of positive comments and reviews about this film. I wasn't really interested at first until I started reading some of the reviews saying that this horror film was actually really good for the content that they used to make it. And I have to say that after watching it, I have to agree with a lot of the comments that I remember hearing about or reading on the interwebs. And I'll go as far as to say that I think that the way this movie was made, the story behind it, was how I think the original Resident Evil movies should have been done, in terms of the sophistication, the construction of the tunnels, the house, the things that are kept encapsulated underground, and the evil organization that's actually overseeing the entire project, of what's happening to these kids that are trapped inside this cabin. So, but overall, it was a really good film. And I, really enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I'll go as far as to say that, I wish this was how the Resident Evil movie was actually made. So, but definitely pick this up and watch it if you haven't done so already. The Cabin in the Woods. The next movie that I'm going to show you, of course, if you've seen my last video, then you know what it is, and it's the Dark Knight Rises, the Digibook version of it. And of course, if you've seen my last video, definitely, I have nothing but positive things to say about this film and all the bonus materials that are in it. So, again, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it just to get, the final ending to Christopher Nolan's entire Batman series. Next, I also picked up E.T. on Blu-ray Digibook pack set, and I've been a big, huge fan of the E.T. movies since I was a kid, since my parents or my godparents first introduced me to it. And it brought back a lot of fond memories watching this again, because I believe the last time I saw this movie was maybe about 15, 20 years ago. So it was nice to actually see it and see it remastered, with better um, enhancements to the video quality, to the sound quality, and just seeing all these characters again, when they were very little. And what's good about this is, again, just like the Dark Knight Rises Digibook, this one, of course, has the Blu-ray disc here, has a nice Digibook in between that has some interviews with some of the cast members and Steven Spielberg, where they talk about their experiences doing the film, acting with each other, and there's actually some really nice, see if I can find it, some really nice illustrations on E.T.'s design. See if I can find this picture so I can show you guys real quickly. Right here, yeah. So I thought this was actually really cool that it has in here is like this little couple of pages where it talks about E.T.'s design and some of the character sketches that were done by the creators of the film. So that's actually pretty cool. And a lot of this material is also located on the Blu-ray disc itself in one of their bonus content as well. And here's the DVD version of the film with nice cover art. And that's the Digibook set of E.T., which of course I had to add to my collection. The next one that I got is this film that I believe it's called Excision. Now, it's kind of going to be a little difficult for me to explain what this movie is about, but I'm going to try to summarize it as best I can. And it's about this high school girl that has this very weird, extreme fetish with dead bodies and blood. And basically, the entire movie is about her trying to figure out ways to satisfy this weird fetish that she has. So she keeps imagining what she would do with the dead bodies and the blood and things like that. So it's actually very explicit in that sense, but it's not so much so that it becomes something that's awful or distasteful or anything like that. It's actually it's done fairly well, despite the fact that it has all that blood and dead bodies, which aren't real dead bodies, of course, but they're actors. But just the idea behind what this girl wants to do with those bodies and things like that. So it's pretty graphic, and I guess maybe you could call it extreme in that sense if you're not used to seeing movies like this. But it didn't bother me at all. I'm used to seeing lots of blood and guts movies with zombie films and other Italian horror films, so. It didn't bother me so much, but I was actually really surprised with the story behind it and just how far the filmmakers went with trying to depict this character's obsessions. And the ending was actually quite surprising too. So definitely check this out if you haven't seen it, and if you're a fan of blood, guts, and dead bodies, things like that, or if you think you can stomach some of the content that I'm just describing about this film, you should definitely check it out. So the next one I picked up is, of course, another classic that I have from my childhood, and that's Ghostbusters. So I've seen this movie a billion times. I'm sure most of you have seen it as well. So I definitely had to pick this up and add it to my collection. And the nice thing about this Blu-ray is that it has, I believe it's an earlier interview that was done with Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and the director Ivan Reitman in terms of what their thoughts were in terms of creating the film, what they were thinking as they made the film itself. So it was actually pretty cool. And again, just watching this film in a restored fashion, a higher quality, other than the last time I ever seeing it was on TV, so it's more like DVD, like VHS quality. So seeing it, and with a higher quality, of course, made it that much more enjoyable. Besides the fact that I die laughing with some of the jokes that, of course, you see Bill Murray make with Dan Aykroyd throughout this entire film, and just seeing everybody just get along with each other and how they kind of like bounce off of each other when they're delivering their lines is always a lot of fun. So definitely Ghostbusters. The next movie that I have here that I picked up is Clive Owen's The Intruders. Now this one again is another kind of like paranormal ghost story about a father who was trying to protect her daughter who was attacked by a vicious paranormal entity. And what's interesting about it is that, of course, like most ghost stories, the father and daughter are the only two people that can actually see the ghosts. So every time they try to tell other people about what's happening, no one will believe them because they don't see it. There's no evidence except what the two characters are experiencing. So it's interesting just to see, how Clive Owen is trying to help her daughter, escape the torture of the demonic ghosts or ghosts. It's either one ghost or more than, I think it's one ghost, and I mean, I enjoyed it. I actually liked it a lot. It's not scary, but it is suspenseful, kind of along the same lines of as The Apparition. So definitely, you should definitely, I recommend this one to check out as well. The next movie that I picked up is Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis, and I remember seeing this movie when I was younger, but I never actually got to see it in its entirety. I always ever caught just small snippets of it, like especially the scenes where Rick Moranis is interacting with the plants. The plant's name, I believe, is Audrey too, and especially like the one scene that I always remember about this movie is the scene at the dentist's office where Rick Moranis is going to try to murder Steve Martin's character so he can feed it to the plant. And there's that whole thing about Steve Martin getting high on laughing gas and pretty much killing himself because of it. And Rick Moranis taking the body back to the shop and chopping it up and then feeding it to Audrey too. So that I remember that whole scene was actually pretty hilarious just at the dentist's office. So I really enjoyed that part. And just finally being able to see this movie in its entirety from beginning to end was pretty much a treat. And this Blu-ray actually has the original 20-minute ending that the director really wanted to use, but instead had to change it to a different ending to appease the audiences, because when he originally showed the test audience the original ending, they didn't like it, so he had to change it. So luckily this one actually has the original 20-minute restored ending to it. So and it works, and I actually enjoy the original ending compared to the changed ending that was used to appease audience members back when it was originally aired in theaters or shown in theaters actually. So definitely see this one if you haven't. Next, I picked up Moonrise Kingdom. Now this is pretty much has an all-star cast in it. It has Bruce Willis, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, and a bunch of other characters in here too. And I have to say that romance films are kind of a little hit or miss with me, but I have to say that this one actually was pretty good. I actually liked it a lot, and it's about these two kids that fall in love out in New England somewhere, and they both come from like different families or different positions in life. Let's call it that way, But for some reason they kind of find a linkage with each other as opposed to with their family members or with people that kind of are protecting them or their guardians or things like that. So and they go around the small island trying to find places where they can kind of camp out and be together. And there's only so many places they can go, but it's actually interesting that they get pretty far and they pretty much have the entire population of the small island, with both the parents and the scout leader played by Edward Norton trying to retrace their steps, trying to look for them, and they go to different places. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not giving away anything with what I've just said, but you should definitely check this movie out if you haven't done so already. It's really a lot of fun. It's little I guess quirky maybe in a way. Maybe that's not the right word, but I loved it a lot. It was a lot of fun. So you should definitely check out Moonrise Kingdom. The next movie I picked up is another classic horror film, and it's Rosemary's Baby. And this movie actually came out in 1968, and it's Roman Polanski's first film, actually, I believe, that he made here. So, and it stars Mia Farrow, and it's about her and her husband, and she's expecting a baby, and their weird neighbors are trying to figure out ways to kind of like manipulate her to do certain things because they have some sinister things in mind with her baby. So this was actually the first time that I've actually seen it, because I've never seen this movie before, and I have to say that I really liked how this movie turned out. I didn't. It's again like with romances, a lot of these older classical movies are kind of hit or misses with me, but for the most part, the few that I've collected from the 1960s and 70s, have been pretty decent additions to my collection. So I definitely recommend Rosemary's Baby if you haven't seen it yourself. And if you have, then you guys all know, what I'm trying to say, I guess, in terms of, describing what's happening with this film, just pointing out that it's actually really good and that I enjoyed it a lot. So definitely check out Rosemary's Baby. The next movie that I picked up is this film called Safety Not Guaranteed. And this is actually an indie film that was made that I believe won it's the winner of the Walter Salt Screenwriting Award, Sundance Film Festival of 2012. And it's about these three characters that actually work for a magazine that find this ad that this character leaves stating that he wants to conduct a time travel experiment and that he wants someone to accompany him with it, and that he guarantees that he'll make it work because he's done it before, and he's willing to take one other person along with him as long as they meet certain objectives or requirements that he has. So the movie's about those three characters going to find him to find out whether this guy is for real with his ad or whether he's some other wacko that just putting up some weird ad in the newspaper somewhere. And it actually turns out to be a fairly decent movie. It's very funny. It's another one of those spur of the moment, life altering type of situations where the characters meet, even though they come from like opposite ends, or in some cases maybe they might even come from like similar backgrounds, and they find a common interest, with each other because of that. So it's pretty interesting, and I enjoyed it a lot, so definitely I recommend Safety Not Guaranteed. The next movie I picked up is Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which stars Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. And this is actually a very nice end of the world romantic comedy type of movie. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of mixed those types of themes together, end of the world, romance, comedy. Yeah, it's weird, right? But this film actually, in my opinion, it actually works. It actually makes all three of those particular themes come together nicely. And, it's about, Steve Carell's character and Keira Knightley's character, who come from opposite ends of life, meeting each other at the moment where a giant asteroid is getting ready to hit the Earth in about, I believe, a week. And they go around different places trying to, accomplish certain tasks or objectives. And along the way, they kind of end up knowing more about each other. And that's how their relationship starts. So, but again, it's a very nice, heartwarming tale. It was very surprising. I didn't think it was going to be the way, that it turned out to be. I was thinking like, okay, it's going to end up, being really, really catastrophic at the ending, since the theme is end of the world. So, but it didn't turn out that way at all. So actually, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. So definitely another one that I recommend to check out. And of course, I ended up picking up Ted. Guys, those of you that know me, of course, know that I was going to pick this up anyway. So, I remember seeing this in theaters and I remember laughing my ass off, wholeheartedly with some of the jokes that happened in this film. And again, man, who can't like, a foul-mouthed teddy bear? Just have his way in this movie. So, a lot of fun stuff in this movie if you haven't seen it. It's very funny. Again, the animation behind the bear, it's really cool. So, and just seeing the interaction between Mark Wahlberg's character and the bear, who's voiced by Seth MacFarlane, it's very interesting to see. And even a lot of the behind the scenes bonus material that's in here, is really good. Also, they talk about how they brought Ted to life, how they use different types of little tactics in order to get the actors to interact with either an actual teddy bear or just like a stand with like two eyes on it, or to just act with nothing in the room at all, and just basically how Seth MacFarlane basically constructed or designed how he wanted to actually direct this movie. So again, it's a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed it a lot. So I'd definitely say pick this up if you haven't seen it already, if you want a good laugh. And the last movie that I have to show you guys for today is The Watch, with Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and Jonah Hill. And I have to say that personally, I did like this movie. It was funny. It had its moments, but I know that it might not be the best comedy out there for a lot of those of you that are like real hardcore comedy fans. So this might be hit or miss with some people. But I actually really enjoyed it. Like I said, it had its moments that were pretty funny, and a lot of the gag reels too, are really funny too. that I kind of felt like there were some of the things that were in the gag reel that should have actually been part of the film, but again, the director, thought otherwise. So, but overall, I did enjoy this movie a lot. So that's the watch. And that's pretty much it for my first Blu-ray. I mean, well, not Blu-ray, but my first movie collections update video. And pretty much this is what I'm gonna do every time I come up with one of these videos. And for the time being, I think it's either gonna be every 3 weeks, or at least once a month. I'm gonna try to come out with one of these videos where basically I show you guys all the new movies that I've acquired from my collection. And while this one was only Blu-rays this time, there might be others where I might actually also show you DVDs that I might pick up along the way as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I have this video series, and of course I have my other video series, which is my Blu-ray or DVD review segments, where I take one movie from my collection and I actually talk a little bit more in depth about that film. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like it, leave me comments, subscribe to my channel if you like what I'm doing so far and you want to see more videos, and I hope to catch you guys later. All right? Peace.